Okay, class, so we're going to be doing group starting with Samuel's work. So let's zoom in and just talk about what we see. All right, so Samuel, it looks like this is this week's assignment, right? So what I'm guessing is that your assignment looks like this, all right? And this was last week's layout, all right? So let's analyze this. I think this is great. This is starting to read a little bit better as opposed to this version right here. So things are starting to take a little bit better shape, right? What I would just be careful of is getting too close to edges like this right here. I think you had a little bit better space in between such areas like that. Try to see if there's a way to kind of curve some of those edges, kind of mimicking whipped cream. So try to see if there's something you can do to kind of curve the type a little bit, almost like you're doing here. Just instead of doing angles, maybe do curves and see how that might look. All right, and I'm noticing the text looks a little bit stretched. Please make sure you're not stretching the text in any way, and we're using it in its natural form. All right, so that would be my feedback for you. And I think not using the script font is much better, right? I think it reads a lot better too. So another thing we also want to take a look at is your denotative, all right? So for your denotative, much better from last week's assignment. I still think chocolate milkshake. I think it still reads a little bit odd. I don't know why we're dividing it up this way, but maybe there's something we can kind of add to give it a little bit more emphasis, maybe making the type a little bit bolder. I'd also say if we're looking at doing the ingredients or the instructions lists like this, you might want to add a little bit more verbiage right here, because this kind of seems a little odd that you have a paragraph, paragraph, and paragraph, and then just one line, one sentence over here. So try to see if you can work with that. Another thing I would also recommend is make sure you do align things. Like right now, I'm not sure where this is aligning. Make sure you're aligning things, and you might need to go a little bit smaller with this type, but see if you can bring some of those elements closer to this rule right here. All right, and then also right here, bring this more towards the left so that things are aligning more properly. Kind of like what you're doing on this area right here where you have more alignment. Again, this needs to come in a little bit more, and you might need to make some scale changes with your text right here and your text right here. All right, and see if there's another placement for your pull quote. Maybe it's on the bottom or it weaves in and out of the text. Think about that. Okay, let's go to Dyani's work. So Dyani, I'm seeing that this is your new version. So this looks good. I think this is a nice addition for your connotative. It reads nicely, and I think it mimics the shape of the dessert that you're trying to reflect. One thing that I will say though is that these elements don't seem to be connected in any way. It seems like each one is its own place, like its own element on the page. There isn't anything that connects these three things together. So what I would recommend for you is, if this is what you're really focusing on, this shape right here, why not do that for the rest of your text? Like maybe your ingredients can go above, like so, and then Belizean favorite can go above that, and then Belizean Johnny cakes can go above that, and then that way it starts to make sense as a whole layout together. Right now, this piece is different than this piece, which is different than that piece, and this piece is completely on its own. So we want to try to see if we can unify this together, okay? And the way we look at unity is how those elements on the page work well together, right? But I definitely think this is a much better round from last week's round, so you're definitely heading in the right direction for your connotative. For your denotative, I would like to see the scale of your text go a little bit smaller and some kind of a system where you're aligning things a little bit more properly. So right now we see things aligning this way right here to the left. And if you're starting to align things, let's see, align things more here, maybe there's a little bit more intentionality going there, where you have things lining up right here. Although I'm not really sure why things are aligning in the middle and to the left, so maybe there's a little bit more um, decisions we can make so that this whole layout is a bit more unified, right? And I'm seeing that you're doing some kind of an effect here to the text. It's not really working yet. It's very subtle. And if you want to incorporate some of those movements that you had here, bring them in, like the text on a path, like a curve like that. You can maybe make your title that way, all right? But let's see if we can decrease the size of this text, because this is too big, right? And then just take a look at how we want to align certain things, okay? Let's move on to Laura's work. So Laura, I'm going to show you the work that you did from 2 weeks ago and then this week. It looks like every week there's a very different version. Just to let you know, your work is great. It's just that we think we're missing the point here. We're not supposed to be using any types of rules in our layout whatsoever. So we're doing this strictly with type. So we definitely want to eliminate those rules right here that you're using on the page. If you want to do that, I would suggest you do that with type, be it with bold type or regular type. But we definitely want to make sure that we're not using any type of visual graphics or visual aids for that matter. Same thing goes for your connotative right here. You want to make sure this emphasis is made strictly with type. You don't need to add rules like that. All right. Your texture is getting a little bit too close to the edge, but I think you kind of missed the essence of your strawberry mojito. I kind of felt like your previous examples, especially the ones here, seem to have a little bit more personality and a little bit more emotion to them. So I kind of miss seeing these in a way. What I was suggesting is specifically for this particular type of layout is just to make things a little bit more readable. Because we do tend to make text way too small to a point where it looks like an illustration, we can't read it. And I also like things like this right here where you have the text kind of going into those interesting wave-like directions. So I kind of did enjoy some of those layouts that you had in the beginning, and I'm wondering if you can go back to them. I definitely like this one too, and I like this. I like where this is going, just want to make sure it's readable. Okay, so not to say that you're not heading in the right direction. I think that's just why I saved your older versions, just so that we can compare. But I definitely think if you were to go back and just revisit some of these, I think you had some really good layouts here, right? One thing I would say is if you want to revisit this is make sure you're not using text that's all caps for your body copy. I don't mind it being for your ingredients or your title, but for body copy, let's try to stick to regular lowercase, okay? So please revisit this, make just some simple moves to it, and then see if you can bring back some of those elements that you have here. And even something like this layout right here, maybe make the title a little bit more prominent, kind of like what you have here with Strawberry Mojito, make it as prominent right here. And then, really revisit this. I think these three are very strong. I think somehow, as you got into the weeks, they kind of lost their personality in a way, and I kind of miss that, and I want it to come back. So if you need to see me one-on-one, please do, but you did some great work in the beginning, so I don't want you to lose that for your recipe. I hope that helps. Okay. Dulce, I don't think I saw anything for you this week, but please refer to last week's recording for your feedback. Okay? So this is the end for group 1. I'll see you in the next video for group 2.